Hi guys, welcome back to the Knitting Expat Podcast and welcome back to another Finishing Friday video. I just realised now I'm wearing the exact same jumper I was wearing last time I filmed one of these, but I promise you it has been washed. It's just it's the warmest thing I have right now. Well, no, it's not technically the warmest thing. Obviously you've got my knitwear, but it's my warmest non-knitwear item at the moment, and I still need to kind of sort through all my knitwear for the coming winter, and I haven't quite done that yet. So it's one of the videos I'm planning on filming for the channel at some point, is sorting through all my knitwear and kind of pulling out the bits that I might want to wear this winter and storing everything else more securely and stuff like that. So it's part of some upcoming videos. I have one for that planned. I have a sorting out my stash video planned, all sorts of things. I've got to sort out my fibre stash as well, so got a few organisational videos planned and coming up. I've been spending some time here and there over the last couple of weeks sorting out my office a little bit, clearing up a little bit, organising, decluttering, all that sort of stuff, and slowly and surely we are getting there. It is taking time. I was going to make that into a video series, but honestly it takes me so long to do that sort of stuff anyway, and the idea of constantly having to like talk to a camera or set up different shots and this and that, it just felt more of a hindrance than anything else. I was like, I just need to get it done. I just need to get it done. And then some of like the smaller sections of part of this bigger thing, like sorting out my stash, organising my knitwear, all of that sort of stuff, I can film those as like separate little organisational videos rather than the whole office thing, because that just feels so overwhelming to try and think about doing that all together in one video or even in parts. Anyway, this room up here isn't always going to be my office. It is for now, but probably in a couple of years we're planning on potentially turning this into the girls' bedroom. It will have to be sort of redone and redecorated, everything like that. Anyway, we haven't really touched this room since we moved in, so yeah. But that's, like I said, a couple of years down the line, and but for now it's going to be my office slash a second guest room if we need it, because we do have the bed in here which is finally cleared of stuff, so it's more of a usable bed now. And yeah, so I'm just going through trying to declutter, get rid of stuff, pass on things I no longer need, etc, etc, just making the space more usable, as it were. Anyway, I'm rambling now. So for today's Finishing Friday, I have a few things that I want to try and tackle. So I have a pair of socks that I finished. I need to Kitchener the ends and weave them in, so that's simple enough. This was the blanket I was talking about in the last video, where I said I had a blanket that needed some repairs to it. So this is the one that was made for me, or made for Layla, I guess, when I was pregnant with her, or just after she was born. It was sent. And all the different squares were knit or crocheted by different lovely friends from the knitting community, which is really sweet. And I love how there's a pinwheel block in there as well, which is one of my patterns, which I found really sweet, and I really appreciated that. Anyway, so this has a few little holes in it, so let me see if I can find some for you. So I have a couple of edges that have come a little bit unraveled. Thankfully it's not just, thankfully it's crochet, so it's actually quite easy to rip out a little section and fix it on those edging pieces. Then I have another edge, I think it's on this side, where is it going? Yeah, another edge here that's got a bit of a rip in it. I have a couple of small holes here, there's one, and there's another one here. I have this giant bit here where the crochet bit has just come out. I'm going to think about the best way of fixing this, whether it's to just undo this whole seam and redoing it, or just trying to salvage what's there. And there's a couple of other bits where it's come a bit loose overall. I think I counted yesterday, there's like 10 spots on this that needs to be fixed, which is fine because it just means the blanket's been well loved, well used. And like I said, most of the places where it's coming undone, other than the 2 spots that are actually holes in the middle of a block, everything else is in the crochet seaming or on the edge. So those should be fairly simple to fix with more crochet, hopefully. We will see about that. I will have to figure that out. And then I have a bajillion of, I say bajillion, I have 24 of these blocks which need the 2 ends woven in, on each side. So those I want to tackle. And the other thing I want to fix is this cardigan. This was my very first adult sized cardigan that I designed and published the pattern for, and one of the sleeves, the binding has come unraveled on this part here, and it's been like this for months and it hasn't unraveled any further. It has literally been like this for probably close to a year now. And I still wore it all of last winter and I just left it like this. So I think what I'm planning on doing for this one is finding the 2 loose ends, weaving those in and securing them as they are, and then I'll pick up the loose stitches and then sort of knit up a bit more ribbing, I guess, and then bind off. We'll see how that works. I need to I don't have the same yarn anymore, so it'll just have to be something else. I might go for something like super contrasting just to make a show of it, but we'll see. This is a cardigan. I still love wearing this around the house in the winter. It's really warm and cozy. It's my mix and match cardigan, and yeah, I do love it. I wear it a lot, and I just need to fix the cuff before it gets any worse. Yeah, I'm not sure what happened with this one. I'm pretty sure I must have just snagged it on something at some point. So yeah, that's the plan for today. We will see how much of it we will get through. I'm hoping I can at least get the socks and the cardigan fixed, and we'll see what else we get up to. And I'm going to try and be a little bit more chatty today whilst I'm doing some of the fixing. Some of it might just be set to music and sped up a little bit, so we're not here forever. And yeah, I have a bit of limited time today because I have to go to Layla's hockey match this afternoon, which is really exciting. And I was a bit late for the last one and just missed it, so I want to get there early to make sure I actually see the game this time. Okay, I'm gonna go reset up the camera and I'll be back. So let's get ready to start. And start with the socks because I feel like that's the quickest one to do at the moment. Also, I'm trying a slightly different camera setup at the moment. So right now, the way the camera is set up, I cannot see the screen. So apologies if stuff goes out of focus a little bit. I will do my best. If it gets really annoying or if this doesn't work, then I will go back to the previous method. I just thought the angles that I was able to get my tripod set up at this time worked better. So yeah, we will see how this goes. Okay, let's move those scraps out of the way. So this yarn, in case you're wondering, is originally from Knit Crate, which doesn't exist anymore. It was a monthly subscription box where you would get surprise yarn, and yeah, so they don't exist anymore. But so I still have a lot of their yarn left over, but I had some of their yarns in colours that were not quite my style, shall we say. As Layla would say, it's not my style, mummy. Whenever I take her shopping and try to like point out things like, oh, would you like this pair of shoes or that pair of shoes, and then the one that she doesn't really like, instead of saying no, I don't like it, she'll be like, that's not my style, mummy. I'm like, okay. She doesn't want to say no, I don't like it, so that's how she says it, which is really quite funny. So let's just say the yarn was not my style, and I took it with me when I went down to Devon to see my friend Gemma, and we had a dye day, and I took a bunch of yarn with me, and this is one of the ones that I over dyed. So the original colourway was called Sway. It's an 80% superwash merino, 10% Donegal neps, and 10% nylon fingering weight yarn, so that's why it is now a pair of socks. And I did my cobblestones pattern from my very first Beyond Vanilla sock collection. I love that sock collection. It is a very kind of like, yeah, it's very nostalgic for me, I guess. Anyway, let's get a needle and start going with it. So I thought this would be a good opportunity to show you guys how I do my Kitchener stitch, because I don't do it the traditional way. I mean, it's mostly the traditional way, so hopefully you guys can see this. I will try and zoom it in if I need to. So typically with the Kitchener stitch you have like the setup that you do. I don't do that. I go straight into it. So I just go straight into knit off, purl on. That's how I remember it in my head. And then from the back it's purl off, knit on. And on just means you leave the stitch on the needle. So from the front you do knit and then take it off the needle. And then you purl as it, so when I say purl, it's like that's how you insert the needle into the stitch. So purl and leave on. And then from the back row it's purl off the needle, and then knit the next one, leave it on the needle. And then every time I do a couple, I kind of just give it a little tug, not too tight. And actually I usually do 2 at a time, so I'll do the front together. So I'll do knit off and purl on, and then pull it through, and then purl off, knit on and pull it through. And I'll just do that all the way to the end, and I'll show you how I deal with the little end bit. So just do that all the way along. Ooh, split the yarn there. Go. Is that almost there now? I usually decrease down to about 10 stitches on each needle before I do the Kitchener. I find that works quite nicely. I find if I go down to 8 it's just a little bit too pointy, but that's just personal preference. Okay, so when you're down to the last 4 stitches on the needle, I do knit off, purl off on the front, and then purl off, knit off on the last 2. And then when you pull it, there again, hopefully you can see, you get this kind of little blip, as it were. So what I do is I take the needle and a couple of stitches down from where you finish binding off in the edge of the sock, I'll just poke my needle through and then come back up in the stitch next to the one I've about finished the Kitchener stitch on. Okay, and then you pull that, I pull the yarn through, and then when you make it nice and tight, you have this little dog ear, this little stitch poking out here. So all I do with that is I literally go from the bottom up and then back into where I came out of before with the yarn, and then I poke the needle all the way in, and I sort of slide it backwards and forwards under the thing so I'm not catching anything from underneath, and I just poke it out somewhere down the bottom, pull it through, and then that kind of gets rid of that little dog ear bit, gets tucked under into the sock. And then the reason why I do this is when I turn it inside out now, I don't have to leave the needle on to turn the sock inside out. It becomes really easy to find the tail and bring it to the wrong side, so you can weave in your ends. Okay, all right, I'm going to quickly do the other. And then now we're ready to weave in the ends on the inside. Okay. So I'm getting this all done. This pair of socks has been on the needles for far too long. Since July, and we're now at the end of September. So it's been a long time coming. Doesn't normally take me this long to finish a pair of socks, but it's been a busy summer. So I would love it if you guys could let me know in the comments below what you guys are working on finishing or fixing whilst you're watching along, or are you just chilling and watching me finish stuff whilst working on a project? Either way is fine, I'd love to hear it. And yeah, and if you have any questions for me, even about finishing stuff or anything really, then let me know. I can answer them in future videos. Right, train going past, so I'm going to let that be loud, and hopefully it's not too loud on camera. Okay, it's gone now. It's a nice sunny, crisp day today. It's a bit cold, but at least it's not raining. So that should be good for the hockey game later. So yeah, I was saying, Layla, now that she's in year 3, her school every week they organise, well, almost every week, some weeks they don't have them, but almost every week they organise matches, games against other schools, which I think is really fun. It teaches kids about competition and stuff in a friendly way, and all of that. And so this will be her second game now. They didn't have one last week, second match I should say. So this term, or at least this half of the first term back, they're doing hockey, or the girls are doing hockey, and yeah, she's really enjoying it. She really enjoys playing hockey. I never played hockey at school. It wasn't one of the sports that my school did. So, but she's really enjoying it, which is good. And I got the timings wrong for the last match, and I got there literally just as they were finishing the game, so I missed it. But anyway, we are going to try again today and not miss it. So okay, there we go. First project done. I think I had 4 things on my list for today. We'll see how many of them we get through. It's nice to get, it's always nice and satisfying to get an easy thing done and out of the way first, because it feels really sort of like, yes, it's get that boost of endorphins from finishing something. Alright, so pair of socks, donezo's. The cuff on this sweater, you can see how much it's been worn, like been really worn at the cuffs. Honestly, this cardigan is a favourite. I don't really do up the buttons anymore on it, but I really do love it. It's a really, really comfy little thing. Okay, I've got some needles here. Right, first things first, I'm going to secure the loose ends on the cuff so it doesn't unravel any further. I don't really have a plan for this. I don't really know how I'm gonna do it exactly, but we will work it out together, won't we? And then we'll figure it out, and it probably won't be the most beautiful thing you've ever seen, but we're going over finished, over perfection at this point. And just weave these ends in a little bit up and down, up and down. Yeah, let's see. A little trim. Let's find the other end isn't as long, so okay, let's see. Got a pair of 4mm needles, which I think are a little bit smaller than what I used for the cuff. So I think I'm going to start yeah, around here. We're just gonna try and pick up some stitches and see how this goes. I'm going to try and pick up the left leg of each stitch if I can. So I'm trying to go in a line. Might need to get some smaller needles. I think these are too big. I'm just going to use some 3mm needles to pick up the stitches, and then I'll knit with the 4mm. Let's get some. Okay, so I've got 14 stitches on the needles. So I think I'm just gonna knit some ribbing back and forth for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7 rows, and then I guess see what happens. I haven't fully figured this out. I need to figure out what I'm going to do with all this. What I might do, I generally don't know at this point. I wonder what happens if I just unravel it all the way down to where the stitches are on the needles. We're figuring this out together. Okay, there we go. Stitches are on the needles. Oh, that's good. So I guess I could just cut this yarn. I'm just trying to figure out what's the best way of dealing with this. Right, just unravel all this bit. I mean, in theory, I guess I could use this yarn to knit with. That would work, right? Okay, this has gone a bit further than when the yarn is actually, I'm sorry, I'm working this out as I'm talking to you guys because I don't really know what I'm doing. And someone's probably staring at this and going, no, you're doing it all wrong. So actually what I might do is I might cut this and then weave these ends in either side to prevent any more unraveling. And then what I will do is I will knit up this new patch. I will bind it off at the top and sort of join to the existing cast on edge at the ends, and then the sides I will just tack down and sew down, so that will create a new patch, hopefully. Does that make sense? I mean, in my head that makes sense, but I'm wondering, someone's going to be screaming at the screen right now as I cut this. I really hope I'm not making it. You know what, I'm going to leave that and I'll cut it after I've done the patch. That way if I change my mind I haven't done something irreversible. That's a better idea. Let's go with that. Right, so now what yarn should I use to patch it with? I could go for something a little bit more subtle like this grey, or I could go bold. I could go for another kind of purple. I don't have the same sort of shade, but I could go for like a bolder colour, or something super contrasty, or something a bit darker and more subtle. Part of me just wants to do the bolder colour because I think, or like a more contrasty colour, I think that would look quite nice. So I'm not trying to hide the fact that I fixed it. It is going to be very obvious that I fixed it, whatever I do it with, even if it was the same yarn. So I figure, why not make it more of a feature than trying to hide it. Right, so leave a nice long tail because I'll need it to seam up the side. And let's see how this goes. I'm going to have to knit these all through the back loop on this first round because I picked up the wrong loop. Right, so let's knit 1, 2, so I'm just following the ribbing pattern. I guess I'm going for the kind of philosophy of like a patch pocket, like one of those ones that you pick up, you sew up and then you sort of tack down the sides. So I guess it's going for the same sort of thought process behind doing one of those types of pockets. That's kind of what I'm going for here. So DP ends it is. Alright, so now we're off straight onto the 4mm needles, which I believe is the same size as I used for this, for the cuffs on this cardigan. Okay. Alright. So I need to do 6 rows, so this is number 3. Okay, I'll do 2 more and then we'll see where we're at. Yeah, it's funny, I go through phases with cardigans and jumpers, or sweaters, I guess. I have periods where all I want is a jumper or a sweater, like a pullover, and it's usually when my babies were very little, because I found there was less fussing with a jumper. Once it's on, it's on. There's no buttons for little one to pull, there's no zippers for them to scratch their faces on. You know, there's less for them to get into trouble with, and it's just less fussing for me as well. But as they get older, I've always had a preference for cardigans because I find they're more flexible. Like, I can keep my arms warm but do the front, like open up the front if I need to cool down a little bit but not completely, all those sorts of things. So I find over the years I've had various preferences over time. Okay, I think I might have been better off using the smaller needles for this, but it's okay, it does the job. So yeah, there we go. That'll be the patch. So now I'm going to bind it off and attach it as I go to the edges of the cuff that are still there. And then I will cut these and weave them into the sides. But yeah, and then so right now, currently I'm in a pullover phase. As you can see, I'm wearing a hoodie, so I'm kind of feeling the pullovers at the moment. But I also really enjoy a good cardigan. Right, so let's see, where am I at? Let's pick up the cast off edge there, pass the yarn through, pull through that one, and then one on the needle, and then one more for the next stitch. There it is. Bind off's quite tight on the old bind off. There we go. And then I would have done a Jenny Surprisingly Stretchy bind off, so that's what I'm going to do. And I'm just going to do this all in knit just because it's easier. Okay, come on. Damn it, lost it there. Alright, one more try. There we go. I don't think there's another stitch for me to go into. Maybe there is one more. A bit there. There we go. Okay, so I'm just going to bind off a few more now, just on their own. I find for little kids though that pullovers are the best for little ones, because same sort of thing, less fussing, less buttons, less anything. Once it's on, it's on. They're not going to be able to unzip it or get it off as easily. Nova loves a good jacket or a cardigan, but she tends to unzip them and undo them a lot when she's wearing them, and obviously with a pullover she can't do that, so and it's better. But now Layla's getting older, she prefers cardigans. Like, she asks if I'm making her something, she asks for me to make it a cardigan. But there again, she also still wears pullovers, so I guess it just depends on preferences. I don't know why I'm talking about this. I'm just trying to fill the gap. Alright, almost there now. This didn't take anywhere near as long as I thought it would. Speaking of which, I should make sure it's still recording. Yeah, we're still recording. Okay, that's good. And last one. Okay, give that a long tail. Whip it off. There we go. The new edge to our cuff. That worked out quite nicely actually. And so I've just got a little bit on the edges here to seam down, just to prevent any catching there, and on this side as well. And then, like I said, I'm going to cut these tails, these loose bits, and weave them in, and that should be perfectly replaced, which I'm really chuffed about. That's actually probably the neatest repair I've ever done on anything, so yeah, I quite like that. Okay, I am going to start a new segment. This next bit I'm going to kind of just speed it up because it is just a bunch of weaving in of ends, and I will actually, before I do that, let's just snip this. It's really satisfying. There we go, all cut now. So I'm going to go weave in these ends and I'll catch up with you once I've done all that. Back now with the blanket, and first things first, we're going to tackle this edge. Now I have a couple of crochet hooks here. I have some smaller size needles for when we want to fix those holes further down. I've got a 3 and a 3.5mm crochet hook, and I have some yarn. So I just grabbed any sort of scrap yarn I had from my scrap bag. This should be enough to fix everything on the blanket. And yeah, so first things first, I am going to take a look at this. So you can see here a few pieces of these crochet bunches have come undone. So what I can see from looking at it is it looks like there are clusters of 2 double crochets on the edge here. There is a foundation like single crochet round underneath, and it looks like it's got a couple of, like I say, clusters of double crochet on top. So what I am going to do is I'm going to unravel this bit here, cut that, so this will be where I can pick up from to crochet across. I'm going to unpick these 2 clusters, or just cut the yarn, get them off. And this one. There we go. And this one I cannot figure out where the end is, so I am going to cut this one off as well, just so I can have a bit of an end to weave in further back. So let's unravel this bit. I think this hook might be too big, but I don't have a smaller hook right now, so we are going to do what we can with what we've got. So we will make do. Okay, there we go. Right, that's sort of closed off on that end. So just need to attach some yarn, crochet across, and fix. That sounds easy enough, right? We will see. I'm not a mega crocheter, but I have done quite a bit of crochet recently. I've been working on a couple of crochet blankets and some crochet stuff for a Christmas fair. Oh, here's some new information I haven't shared yet, so we can talk about the Christmas fair. Layla has been wanting to have a stall at her school Christmas market, Christmas fair rather, I should say. And I don't know what I'm doing here. Okay, there we go. And last year obviously we weren't able to do it. It was a bit last, she sort of mentioned it very last minute, and so I said to her, look, we can do it next year. So she's making some beaded bracelets and I'm sort of helping her, but I decided to also do some crochet headbands and maybe some other things to sell as well at the market. So I've been doing a lot of those recently, and And yeah, so I have been doing a fair bit of crochet of late, so we shall see. Come here, you. Damn it, dropped the yarn over. Just doing some double crochet clusters across, mimicking what was there before. There we go. I guess slip stitch it into the top of that one, and there we go. Ooh. There you go. That was quick, wasn't it? That wasn't too bad. All right, and then I just have these ends to weave in. 1, 2, 3, 4. That should be fine. I'm gonna do all the fixes first, and then I'll weave in all the ends at the end, because I can just speed that bit up, because that's not as fun or exciting to watch, I guess. That looks fine. Okay, so I have another edge at the bottom here that I'll come back to in a second. I just want to make sure there's nothing else going on. This is fine. Right, I've got a hole here and a hole here that we'll sew up, and then the big one is this one here. So I'm going to get the other bits sorted first, and then we'll come and tackle this big boy, this big problem here. So it looks like even the base single crochets have been cut, like damaged on this bottom bit here. I'm just trying to decide if, because I've got 2 stockinette panels, I'm wondering if I should just pick up and just knit a panel to patch it over, which I think would look quite nice because it is a patchwork quilt, and then to have like a patchwork patch might be quite nice. And I was quite happy with how that turned out on the jumper, on the cardigan. So I think I might do that, to be honest. I might just pick up some stitches, knit a patch over, and then just seam down the sides, because I think that would look cute. And I'll find some different yarn, something that will contrast quite nicely to make it fun. Maybe some self-striping or something. I think that'd be fun. So yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do with this one. But I'm going to go ahead and fix this edge like I did just at the top, and then we'll patch those couple of little holes. These holes are quite small, so I'm not going to bother doing like a fill-on like patch repair, picking up stitches, knitting a patch down. I'm just going to go back and forth and fix it, a bit like I did darning the socks last time. So that's my plan. All right, let's just tidy that bit up there. Okay. All right, so like I did with the last one, let's just undo these bits that have been cut and damaged. Get those bits off. That's come off. There we go. Just unravel that a little bit, and then we can close it off at the top. Okay. And then this side, I think I need to unravel a little bit more. Looks like it's all coming a little bit undone on this one here. Yeah, it's getting a little bit thin and frayed at the top there. So I'm gonna cut a bunch of this off. Yeah, because it's even come down here into this little section of the single crochets as well, has come undone. So let's get rid of all this. Sorry, I hope you guys can see what I'm doing. Just trying to make sure I don't cut the wrong bit of yarn. Okay. Right, so guess I will just go on to the next one. Actually, I'll go into the same stitch of the last one just to secure it down. Okay, and then just single crochet into the top edge, it looks like. Okay, so there we go. And before anyone says anything, I know I'm holding this wrong. For some reason when I single crochet, this seems to be how I want to hold it. I can do it the other way, but for some reason this is what I like doing, so this is what you get. Okay, there we go. One more here. I'm just going to single crochet over these ones because I don't know, it just doesn't seem secure. And then I'll just slip stitch it into this one here, or single crochet it I guess, and then do a slip stitch. Okay, close that off. Alright, so there's the single crochet edging there, and now I will go back from here and double crochet cluster along. Alright, sorry, I didn't realise the camera had stopped recording, but I just finished off that last little patch there. I'm just gonna tie this off, and there we go, that bit's fixed. I will fix this little gap here with the end when I go to weave those in, but yeah, otherwise that edge is now repaired. So we're just gonna patch up these little holes. Go. Probably won't need much more than that. So, okay. Can you guys see? Yes, you can. Okay, good. I should probably do a little bit more research into visible mending. If you guys have any good resources for visible mending and or learning about it, or like YouTube videos you recommend, or channels, or books I could get from the library, or any sort of resource that you guys enjoy using for visible mending guidelines, I guess, or techniques. I'm just kind of winging it at the moment, but we shall see. Or any other tools that you might recommend for visible mending. Yeah, I would appreciate that, because it would be nice to know how to make it look prettier if I wanted to. I'm not massively concerned about it looking pretty per se. I'm thinking more about my jumper, my pullover, the yellow one that I showed you guys last time. That has a massive, no, not massive, what I'm saying. It's got a little hole in it, but it's right in the center front. If it was like in the back or something, it would have been easier to sort of like hide it, but in the center front it's very, very obvious. And if I try to patch it in any way, I don't have the same yarn, so it's, no matter how well I do it, it's still going to be visible. So I was thinking maybe doing some kind of visible mending that will make it look pretty as well would be quite nice. So if anyone has any tips, I would greatly appreciate it. Right, so I'm just going to bring this to where the other tail is, and I am going to do the thing you're not supposed to do, or what everyone tells you not to do with your knitting, is put a knot in it. So I'm going to tie a couple of knots, get it nice and secure. It is woven in enough that I'm not too worried even if the knot did come undone, but it's just extra secure. Trim it down. Okay, now on to the second one. So what other things have been going on that I could update you guys about? Well, oh yeah, so if you follow me on Instagram, you already know this, but if you don't, or if you, for some reason, I don't know, the algorithm these days, aren't seeing my posts, a couple of weekends ago, we got into a car accident. We were driving home from a really nice day out with family, and someone basically drove into the side of our car. We're all fine, thankfully. No one was terribly injured. It was a fairly low speed collision, which is probably what's saved us in terms of it not being more serious. They drove into the rear left passenger door. So that's actually Nova's side of the car. That's where Nova sits in our car. And so her car seat did its job. It protected her. She was absolutely fine. She barely even registered that something had happened and was a bit confused about why everyone was making such a fuss. Layla, however, was in the back also, sat next to Nova in her car seat. She's in a booster seat, and she hit her head quite hard on the glass window next to her, and yeah, so she had quite a bad headache. We weren't too concerned at first because she didn't have any other sort of symptoms. We were like, okay, you've hit your head, maybe a mild concussion, you know, we'll go home and we'll keep an eye on you. And I, at the time, felt okay. I guess I was more preoccupied with making sure the kids were okay, whilst Perry dealt with the other driver. Anyway, got home, and once we got home, I realised, no, my back definitely is starting to hurt now, and I wasn't in pain before. I'd actually been going through a period of pretty good run with my back in terms of not having a lot of pain. So this was definitely new because of the accident. In the end, whilst the girls were having their dinner, I called 111, which is our non-emergency medical helpline here in the UK. Like, you can speak to a nurse or whatever, and they can decide if you need to see a doctor or if you need to go to the hospital, or you know how much of an emergency your problem is. If you're not sure that it's actually that urgent, and especially because it was the weekend, I couldn't call our GP to find out. Anyway, based on my symptoms and Layla's symptoms, they decided that it would be best for us to go get checked out at the hospital to make sure there was nothing more serious going on. And yeah, so we did. We ended up going to hospital. I got a CT scan on my back, and Layla was just held in for observation for a concussion. And in the end, we were both sent home. There was nothing super scary on the CT, and Layla's concussion wasn't getting any worse, so it was just a mild concussion. I had to keep an eye on her at home, and she was off from doing sports for a couple of days at school. Otherwise, we're fine. Our car is now off being repaired. Hopefully we will get it back in some time in the next few weeks, and yeah, we can put that whole debacle behind us. So that's something that's happened recently. All right, looks like my camera battery's about to die, so I am going to, oops, sorry, I just kicked the tripod. I'm going to go ahead and replace that, and then okay, so I've got some self-striping yarn. I believe this was from the Little Grey Girl. I cannot for the life of me remember the name of the colorway. I believe it was some sort of exclusive colorway for a show, and yeah, so self-striping, and we're going to proceed like I mentioned. I'm going to pick up stitches from the bottom here. I will knit up until probably about here. We will tack it down, and I will tack down the sides. And I'm just going to leave this on the back like it is. Maybe I will just like whip stitch this bit closed or something on the wrong side just to stop it flapping around so much. But yeah, that's how we are going to fix this. I mean, I could technically cut it out on the wrong side. Maybe I'll do that. We shall see. Because the sides will be secured, so the yarn will be secured on the sides. Anyway, let's just focus on what we're doing first. Okay, I'm going to do quite a little bit over the edge because I want to make sure we get a decent... Right, I want to pick up the right leg this time, not the left leg, because that's how I ended up with twisted stitches. I might need some smaller needles. These are 2.5mm needles, but they're quite tight. Enough now. I've got 30 stitches on the needle. That certainly looks like it's enough. Probably could drop off a couple of stitches on this end. So let's just drop off a couple. 2. Yeah, 2 should be enough. So I've got 28 stitches on the needle. And now we're going to get to knitting, and I will size up to the 2.5mm for the knitting. What am I doing? Don't hold the yarn in my left hand. Okie dokie. Okay, I just did it with the 2 strands held together, or like the tail held with the working yarn, just for the first couple of stitches, just to lock that in so it doesn't come loose as I'm knitting. I'm not sure how long I'm going to have to knit this for to get it to the right length. So after I've done a couple of rows, I might set this to music and speed it up just a little bit, so I'm not just sat here watching me knit stockinette for however long this takes. But I guess, let's see what else has been going on. I told you about the car accident. Oh, it was my birthday this week. It was my birthday on Tuesday. I had a pretty chill day. Perry was working in London and he had an event in the evening. So it was just me at home during the day and then me and the kids in the evening. And Perry got back around, what time did he get home? Like 11:30 or something. He got home late. But we are just going to chill out and have a fun sort of family weekend this weekend to celebrate. Last weekend we met up with my parents and my brother and his wife for lunch on Sunday, which was really nice. And actually on my birthday, even though Perry had to go up to London, so he was going to have to leave early and I had to get up with the kids and stuff, he still got up extra early. He got up, bless him, at 5:30 in the morning and made me cinnamon buns. And woke me up at 6:30 with freshly baked cinnamon buns and a coffee, so I will never say no to that. So that was very nice and a lot of fun, and yeah, they were delicious, so definitely gonna have to get into do those again. I think they were just like out of a packet, like one of those like ready-made ones, you just gotta roll it out kind of thing, but still I appreciate the effort he went through to do it. He didn't have to do that. And I was certainly not expecting it either, so anyway, so that's how my birthday went this year. Fairly chilled, and to be honest, it's kind of all I need really. I'm kind of past days of like needing big extravagant sort of elaborate parties and stuff like that. It's just nice to spend some time with family and just chill out a little bit and relax. Or I appreciate the time more than the physical stuff, physical gifts and things, because I don't know. Anyway, I'm just rambling now. Alright, so we are now established. We're a couple of rows in. That's the 3rd row now. I'm getting going. So I think I'm going to set the rest of this to some music. You guys can chill, drink some coffee, work on your projects. Like I said before, let me know what you're working on whilst you watch this video. I don't know how long this video is going to be, probably quite a bit longer. Maybe I might end up breaking it up into 2 parts. Let's see. I might finish this finishing Friday here and then do the weaving in of the blocks and stuff on a separate finishing Friday, because I think we've done quite a bit now. This is the 3rd sort of project we're working on. I feel like that's pretty well done. Another finishing Friday is probably going to be spent just finishing all the headbands that I've made for the Christmas craft fair. I've done a lot of crocheted headbands, and I've just I've crocheted the flat panels, and I just need to seam them together to create the twist in the headband. So that'll be another video probably. So yeah, let me know if that's something you'd like to see. But yeah, okay. Catch you guys at the end when we're ready to seam it down. I mean, how cute does that little patch look? Is that not the cutest little patch? I love it. Anyway, on that note, it's time to close it off. I'm trying to figure out the best way to do this, and I think it might be to just put it on a needle and tack it down as I go. So I was trying to decide, do I want to pick up stitches and Kitchener it closed, and I was like, I can't be bothered with that. Do I bind off and then seam it down, but then I don't want to deal with the bind off edge. So we're going to try this, and if it doesn't work, then we'll go back to the drawing board and we will see. First things first, I need to figure out which row I'm going to be seaming it to so it's not overstretching. For that. I've never done this before like this, so we shall see how this goes. I guess it's kind of like a Kitchener stitch. I guess. I'm not entirely sure. Like I said, I didn't really look up any techniques. I probably ought to have done a little bit of research before doing this, but hey ho. Here we go. See, this is working. Seems to be. Probably can get rid of that, to be honest. Probably don't need that. Okay, like I said, I don't know if I'm doing this right, but it seems to be working, so I will, I guess, explain what I'm doing. Alright, so I'm going to knit off the front, the live stitch. I'm going to go into the center of the corresponding stitch on the knitted fabric. I'm going to go under the left leg of the stitch I've gone into the middle of, and then up under the right leg of the next column and up the middle of the next stitch. Did any of that make sense? Who knows? And then knit off the next one back into the center of the stitch I just came out of, under the left leg, and then under the right leg of the next stitch, up the middle, out the middle. Okay, and then knit off in the middle, under the next 2 legs, up the middle. Okay, seems to be working. Nothing's coming unraveled, so that's good. not the neatest edge, but it's an edge and it is secure, which is all that matters. So now we have the two side panels to close up, so I'm going to go ahead and whip those closed, and then we will decide what we're going to do with this hole in the back. Okay, so I'm going to get to that and I will catch up with you on the other side. Alright, so we are done. It is done. It went a little bit wonky with my seaming along the edge here, but that's okay. It's finished, and here we have the full blanket. I don't know, you can't see it all on camera, but sort of just lay out this bit. You can see the two little patches, sort of, and then the big patch. So yeah, I'm really happy with how this one has turned out. So we finished a pair of socks. I patched up this blanket, so this blanket's all good. The kids can play with it again. I'm sure Layla's going to be really happy. She was upset when she realised it had holes in it. And then we fixed my sleeve as well. So I feel like, all in all, it's been a successful finishing Friday. Although it's actually Thursday when I'm filming this. These videos go up on a Friday, hence why they're called Finishing Friday. Also, the alliteration was really nice, so that's why I went with that name. But I am never able to film these on a Friday to post on the same day because I have Nova at home, and there is no way I would be able to take a couple of hours, because that is how long all of this took to do this with her around. So that's it for this one. Thank you so much for joining me. Like I said, leave me a comment down below. Let me know which of these finishing projects was your favourite one. Did you learn something new today? Have you finished anything today? Did you fix something today? Let me know. And I will see you guys soon. Take care. Bye.